Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about how life is just a little bit harder for us right now compared to past generations. And with the way that it's looking right now, it appears that it's going to be harder for future generations too if things keep going the way that they do. And one of the things that made me think to do this video is I was watching some videos of high schoolers in the previous decades, like in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And when I watch those videos, one thing I love doing is going through the comment section and reading how the older generations will compare how things were then compared to now. And somebody commented under the video saying how they had such big smiles on their faces because they were actually excited to graduate. And as of right now, that's really just not the case, at least not as much as it used to be. And I thought about it, and honestly, I think I'm going to have to agree. And when I'm talking about this, honestly, from what I'm gathering, the underlying issue is just money. And when it comes to a lot of the issues that we're dealing with today, especially the job shortages and shit, everything has to do with money. On top of the fact that as of right now, there's just no security for anybody except for the rich. Because if you think about it, like one of the reasons why I feel like a lot of our parents in older generations push us youth so much to go to college is because it was embedded in their brains that you go to college, you get a good job, and you make good money, and then like you have the American dream, white picket fence, house with two kids in a car, wife and husband, and all of that shit. That's we can't do that. At least not at the same age or at the same pace that they were, because the job market has just become completely overly saturated due to the amount of people that have been going to school and going to college and getting their degrees. And then once you get out, my mom even said it herself, you think you're going to be sitting on top of the world and you know you're going to find a good job quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that's just not the case. And because of the oversaturation, you have to deal with these jobs asking for all this experience, which is where the internship should have kicked in. But this is where the economy and everything, and like where the money factor comes in. Because for the average American that's in college as of right now, and really as of like recently, most of us are working while being in school. So in order for us to do an internship, that have to be a paid internship. And I've looked at a lot of internships, and a lot of them are unpaid. And I don't have time or the funds to be working for no money. Like that just makes no sense. And at this point in our day and age, it's just disrespectful to be having unpaid internships for anybody, regardless of what the hell your degree is. And even with the internships that did pay, they weren't enough. Like it wasn't a livable wage, which is why I'm in full support of making the nationwide damn, what is that thing called? The minimum wage be $15 an hour, because this don't make no sense. And this is exactly why I'm a strong believer that the education system was not designed for the poor. It was designed for the rich and the affluent. And by affluent, I just mean people whose families are financially comfortable enough to, pay their students or their child's bills and really like support them financially enough to where the student doesn't have to work, and also the rich. So when I say affluent, I'm just trying to say that to get to the point, but that's really what I mean. I'm just not going to explain it in detail every time. Because let's just do the math and let's add everything up. Like, let's just say you work somewhere, you make $15 an hour, and you work part time. Well, most part time jobs want you to work between 25 to 30 hours. So I'm going to just say you make $15 an hour and you work 25 hours a week. 15 times 25, 375. Most jobs pay bi-weekly, which I also think is some bullshit because that's two checks every month and a half. What am I supposed to do with that? Anyways, 375 times 2, that is 750. With a little bit of Texas tax, I'm gonna say you going home with a check that's around 680 something, so $680 every 2 months. That is more than enough to get you by. If you live off campus. Now, if you live on campus and you aren't paying like rent and things like that, then like that's different because this is, more than enough to get you by. But I live off campus, and like I said, I pay my own rent, my car note, and my bills and everything like that. So Yeah, this could get me by and I wouldn't be struggling. But since the minimum wage is not $15 an hour and most jobs like don't pay $15 an hour, I'm gonna just say like let's just say I was working at McDonald's and I was working the same amount of hours. Eight times 25, $200 times two, 400, $400 every 2 weeks. What I'm gonna do with that? In my damn JT voice. What I'm gonna do with that? Like what the hell is this? And because of that, I'm going to have to sit here and work more hours and put in more time and take more energy away from my schoolwork so that I can afford to live and sustain myself. Because, again, in this scenario, my parents cannot afford to help me pay for my bills and things of that sort. So, like, everything is all on me. And you really think I'm going to sit there whilst taking a full course load and working part time, which really anything over 20 hours in my opinion should be considered full time, because if you've been there, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Trying to work 25 hours a week while maintaining a full course load, that's going to kick your ass. And this is exactly why people are no longer excited about graduating high school and graduating college, because adulthood, when you growing up, and I'm sure in past generations, maybe the same thing might apply. I don't know, so don't take my word for it. But you looked forward to growing up because you're supposed to be successful and, like I said, college, good job, good money, and all of that. Who wouldn't want to look forward to that as a child? But after now that we have the internet and we other people are sharing their stories and experiences, we have better access to the world and seeing what's going on. I wouldn't be excited either. For what? Like grow up for what? Why? So I can pay more bills and have more bullshit thrown on me and get paid less for more work? Like make it make sense. This is not fun anymore. It never was fun. In fact, this is also why it's taking longer for the average American to graduate college because we're all working and going to school at the same time. Like, girl. So then we end up taking less credits or having to repeat certain classes because we don't have time or the energy to fully understand the material. And I'm one of those people as well. I let my parents know from the jump. As soon as I saw my graduation date extended, I was like, y'all, yeah, this is not going to work out. I was supposed to graduate in 2022. I was like, yeah, this is not going to happen. And like I said, I see why people sell drugs and sell their bodies and steal, rob, and kill and all of this stuff to make a living and just to get by. Because this shit is fucking hard. Like, it is no joke out here. It is not sweet out here in these streets, girl. Matter of fact, let me tell y'all a quick story time so y'all can really get the point. I'm not gonna say when this happened or what I did because it wasn't legal, but I came into some money, and when I tell you, it was so peaceful when I had that money because I didn't have to worry about how I was gonna eat, how I was gonna pay for this and pay for that. I could just focus solely on my schoolwork, and it was one of the most freeing, most calm, most serene moments in my life because I was like, oh my God, like this is how rich people feel. Like this is how they're able to graduate on time. This is how they're able to do better in their classes and things like that. I was like, oh my God, I actually have time to focus on my schoolwork because I'm not over here stressing about, paying for things and having money and like asking my parents for money because again, I come from a low income background and I'm those of you who can relate, when you ask your parents for money, you're taking away from them and the things that they need. They could have used that money to pay bills or that's gas money for them. So now like I've experienced it myself and if I need financial help from my parents or it's in some sort of emergency or I get into some shit and I need to borrow, a large amount of money from them, I'm putting them in a hole. So I have to deal with that guilt as well. So when I did what I did to get that money, it felt like a huge weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I'm telling you, like I slept better. I felt lighter. Literally, like my spirit felt lighter. So I'm just like, this is a goddamn shame. And it honestly reminds me of Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. I'm about to get a bit nerdy, so y'all just stay with me. But in that online game, it's like a real world game. Like you can drive like nice cars and buy things, But in the previous games, like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and shit like that, you could put in like little cheat codes. I remember writing those down on like notebook paper and looking them up on the desktop and shit like that, and like memorizing those. Let me know if y'all remember that too. But you could do like money cheats and things like that, and you could get, like money, you could go and buy shit. Well, when they made Grand Theft Auto 5, they didn't make that a thing. Like, if you, even today, there is no money cheat for Grand Theft Auto 5. Even in the story mode, like, that just didn't exist. And I remember at one point they were locking people's accounts and like deleting them and shit because if you were lucky enough to be in the online game at the time that this happened, there would be somebody that would glitch the system and then have literal like money bags raining down in the game, and everybody would be fighting and killing each other over it. I know because I got a couple millions in the game because of it. Hell, I'm still buying shit from that. But I think that it applies to the real world because let's just say you start selling drugs and all of the stuff that I mentioned previously. If the feds find out that that's what you're doing, they gonna lock your ass up. And the feds have a 99% conviction rate. So when they build a case on you, your ass is going to jail, which is why all of them people are going crazy and running around like chickens with their heads cut off because of that PPP scam. I think it's called PPP, but y'all know the loans and things like that. And to be honest, they not giving us a choice. It's hard out here. Like I'm gonna continue to say that it's hard as fuck out here. People are struggling, and the American government is not doing shit to help us out. They ain't sent out nary damn stimulus check this entire damn pandemic that's been going on for over a year now. They've only sent out two stimulus checks. What is we supposed to do with that? Like what the hell? America's supposed to lead by example. This is some bullshit, but I'm gonna get on that later.